Hello students, welcome to Commerce class. Today we are going to discuss about types of preference shares. Preference shares are classified into four types. First one, convertible and non-convertible preference shares. Second, redeemable and irredeemable preference shares. Third, cumulative and non-cumulative preference shares. Fourth, participating and non-participating preference shares. So let us discuss about first point, convertible and non-convertible preference shares. If company gives to the preference shareholders to convert their shares into equity shares, those shares are known as convertible shares. That means when preference share gets the right of conversion into equity share, considered as a convertible preference share. If company doesn't give any right to the preference shareholders, then those are the non-convertible preference shares. That means those are the shares which are not convertible into equity shares, considered as a non-convertible preference shares. Second, redeemable and irredeemable preference shares. Redeemable preference shares are those preference shares whose amount can be returned by the company to their shareholders within the lifetime of the company. That means redeemable preference share has a maturity date on which date the company will repay the capital amount to the preference shareholders and discontinue the dividend payment. In simple terms, deciding fixed date to repay the capital amount to the preference shareholders, considered as redeemable preference shares. Next, irredeemable preference shares. The amount of irredeemable preference shares can be refunded only when the company is winding up. So, irredeemable preference share doesn't have any maturity date. The dividend of these shares are withdrawn at the time of winding up of company. That's why these shares are known as irredeemable preference shares. Third, cumulative or non-cumulative preference shares. Cumulative preference shares. If dividend is not paid on such shares, the arrears of dividend, which means unpaid dividends, are carried forward and paid in subsequent years. Let me explain clearly. When company is not able to pay dividend to the preference shareholders due to loss in a year, that particular year dividend will be shifted to the next year. So the next year, if a company gets profit, that both years, previous year and current year dividend will be added and given to the preference shareholders. That is called cumulative preference shares. Almost all preference shares are cumulative unless the company clearly stated to be non-cumulative. Next, non-cumulative preference shares. Dividend is paid out of the each year's profit. If dividend is not paid on such shares in any year, the right to dividend lapses, which means it is not carried as an arrear for next year. So these shares are considered as a non-cumulative preference shares. Fourth, participative and non-participative preference shares. Participative preference shares. It is completely company's decision. If company gives preferential right to the preference shareholders to participate in surplus profit, which means extra profit which is left over after payment of preference and equity dividend, or if company allows to participate in the event of winding up, the right to participate in the surplus assets left after repayment of preference and equity capital, considered as participative preference shares. Next, non-participative preference shares. If company doesn't give any additional participative preferential rights to the preference shareholders, considered as non-participative preference shares. Such preference shares have only basic preferential rights and no additional rights to the participate in surplus profit and surplus assets. So these are the types of preference shares. Next we can discuss about advantages and disadvantages of preference shares. Thank you.